Welcome to Inside ArtScroll, where the books that we read and the people that write them come to life. It's a pleasure and an honor to welcome back to ArtScroll Studios, Rabbi David Sutton.
As I always say, a pleasure to be here with Rabbi Landau.
You keep writing, we'll keep interviewing.
Thank you.
Rabbi Sutton, Mazel Tov on a book that's almost out. Daily Dose of Preparation for Yamim Noraim. What a timely and perfect book for this time of year, where we could prepare, get some inspiration so our Yamim Noraim is transformed. Rabbi Sutton, share with us the impetus to write this book. I know Rabbi Spiro put out a book last year, plug his book a little bit. What brought you into this world, and what's the purpose of the book in essence?
So I was zocheh, merited, to learn in Ber Yaakov under Rav Olba. And he made a very big, we'll use the word esek, a big deal out of the month of Elul. This goes back to 1981. I'm in Ber Yaakov. You couldn't leave the building like for 6 weeks. It was intense. I came straight, young boy of 18, intense beyond. And he made, I never appreciated what Elul was on that level, or what Musaf prayers were. He spent I was by him, Baruch Hashem, for close to 10 years afterwards in Yerushalayim. And he constantly delved into Musaf and the understanding, and Malchiyot, Zichronot, and Shofarot, talking about Hashem's kingdom and remembering, and blowing the shofar. When I eventually came to become a rabbi, Rav in America, I noticed that people were davening, praying, however you'd like to say it, and most people didn't even know, they're just reading, like they lost the forest and the trees. Oh, really? There's 30 pisukim that I'm saying? Oh, they're broken down into Torah, Nevi'im, and Ketuvim? I don't even know where the 10 pisukim are. One of them's hidden in the Beracha. This is your whole life is dependent on these 2 days, or on Yom Kippur, on Ne'ilah, and the rest. How are you going into such an important meeting unprepared?
So really there's two aspects to this. There's the preparation of the month leading up, the month of Elul, and then there's just preparing the davening itself. And you kind of blended those together.
Exactly.
So basically you could spend the month of Elul growing each day at a time, and then the way you grow is by coming closer to the tefillos themselves. So when Rosh Hashanah comes, it's a transformational type of tefillah.
Again, I learned this from Rav Olba. I could not stress enough that everything that I have and know is because of those years with Rav Olba. And every single year, Elul was the same story. Work on your Kriyat Shema. Why? Because you're going to do Kabbalat Ol Malchut Shamayim, except the Yoka kingdom, of Hashem's kingdom. And in the middle of Musaf, you're going to say, Kakatu b'Toratach, Shema Yisrael. Are you ready for that? Every day work. So now, as you said, on one hand, every day is a great Shema Yisrael, but the culmination, you finally get to Rosh Hashanah, and now you're gonna hit it out of the park.
Rabbi Sutton, Yom Noraim are the days of awe. I think a lot of people, just to be a little honest, they dread those days. It's a serious time. Purim, everyone loves. The summer, everyone loves it. It's a serious time, and instead of it being awesome days, it's days of awe. Give us some perspective on how we could appreciate the gift of Chodesh Elul, the month of Elul, and even more importantly, how we could appreciate the gift of the opportunity of davening, of Malchias, Zichronos, Shofars, and we can make it like something that we anticipate and we cherish.
It's very interesting you're asking this question. I work for an organization called Simcha, Sephardic Initiative for Mental Health Awareness.
Okay.
Simcha, happiness. And we noticed that even on a mental health level, yeshiva boys suffer. There are really anxiety and all kind of things that come out because of that pressure of Elul. And last year, we created 3 podcasts, you could call them, with Dr. Shlomo Zimmerman,
sure,
a well-known psychologist. And we did it together. The first one was Rav Uri Deutsch. The second one was Rav Elia Brundi. And the third one was Rabbi Elephant. They're all available on Torah Anytime. And it was gadol after gadol trying to debunk that El is this scary, scary time. And the opposite. El is anila dodi v'dodi li. I am my beloved is for me. It's Avinu Malkeinu, it's my father and my king. He's my father first. And of course there's Yirat Shamayim, but it's not paralyzing. Yirat Shamayim is not paralyzing. That paralyzation is coming from a distortion of what Rosh Hashanah is about, what Yom Kippur about, what Elul is about. And that's also part of the reason that this sefer, every day is upbeat. It's going to end, you come out with things that you feel positive. And Truat Melech Bo, on Rosh Hashanah we say, the king's friendship is with us. One of the lines that I quote in there, Rav Olba says, if not for the fact that it was Rosh Hashanah, it is a Yom Adin, but the simcha that you have when you say Aleinu L'Shabeach, you should start dancing in the middle of shul.
It's fantastic. So how do we work on changing our mind shift to appreciate the closeness to Hashem or the Aleinu Shabeach moment versus, I think, baggage? There's a lot of generational baggage. What did Rabbi Shlomo Landau, what they say, that when they announced Rosh Chodesh Elul, the fish in the lake in Salant, haben getreselt, the Rosh Hashiva used to say. They shook and they trembled.
So I asked Rabbi bring that question. He says, Rabbi Yisrael Landau 200 years ago says that the generation before him, that means already by Yisrael's generation, that wasn't happening. And now we're 200 years after that. And to sit and start going back into those days, we're not supposed to be aspiring to become, petrified. It came naturally. It's not like, okay, let me work on being scared. Right. That's not the avodah, so to say. And he said an unbelievable line of Eli Brun. It's worth watching each one of these interviews. He said, what do you do on Rosh Hashanah? He says to whoever this says, is it a regular day? No, what do you do? You're in shul till 12, 1 o'clock? Yeah. Are you in your best behavior? Yeah. Are you learning more? Yeah. So that's what you're supposed to be doing. You're on your best behavior. That's your best behavior. You're not going to go now and say, you know what, I'll give you sometimes how things get distorted. I still remember when I was a yeshiva boy, we're talking about distortions. So my mother came to visit. So I forgot who told me.
In Israel?
In Israel. Uh-huh. So I forgot who told me. When the Gaon of Vilna sister came to visit him, he looked at his beard and he said, my beard's white. I'll see you in the next world. Something like that. Don't waste your learning for familial relations, And just yesterday I was thinking about that story. I said, you know what? The Sefer Chinuch says that a Kohen Gadol doesn't mourn over his 7 close relatives because he's in the Shamayim and it doesn't even impact him. So, okay, let's tell the Gadol Adar, Reb Chaim Kanievsky's Rebbetzin Nif to say, Reb Chaim, what are you crying for? The Kohen Gadol didn't cry. That's what we're doing over here. We're going back in yesteryear, telling stories of things that don't apply to us. We're asking Reb Chaim Kanievsky to be Kohen Gadol. It's the same thing as asking a boy today, why weren't you in the pre-Rabbi Yisrael Salanter? It's a distortion. Vayimayin. We have, like Rabbi Miller was quoted, Rabbi David Ozeri just gave a Vayimayin video. Rabbi Miller says, we're in a different generation, he says. And he says, he calls it the opportunities that we have of challenges they didn't have. It's a different generation. To sit down and take a story and now stick it in over here and to aspire to that story which is beyond, that's really, sorry to say it, who's making you think like that?
Yetzirah.
Yeah, it's Yetzirah.
Setting yourself up for failure.
Exactly.
Okay, so let's focus on the crux of the matter. So Malchias, Zechroinus, Shefaris, the 3 components of our Rosh Hashanah experience, which really in essence are our Rosh Hashanah. Give us a little bit of insight, just a small snippet, as to what we should aspire to when we focus on Malchias, kingship, Zechroinus, remembrances, Shefaris, the pasukim that have to do with Shofar.
So there's a beautiful Maharsha that quotes the Sefer Ikarim. We know we're raised on the Yud Gimel Ikarim. The Rambam has 13 principles of faith. The Sefer Ikarim from by Elbow says there's really 3 fundamentals that are the umbrella for everything else, and you could take the Rambam's 13 and fit it in. One of them is HaKadosh Baruch Hu created the world something from nothing. He rewards and punishes, and he gave us a Torah to live by. That's the whole story. That's the whole Jewish faith on one leg. Malchiot, he's the king because he created the world. Zichronot, he remembers us, he rewards and punishes. And Shofarot is all about the Shofar of Har Sinai, Torah min Hashamayim. That's the whole story. What does Hashem want from us on Rosh Hashanah? He wants us to have our emunah clear. That's it. And Rav Olba used to say in the name of Rabbi Yucham, how come on Rosh Hashanah we don't talk about in sins? And Yom Kippur is all about sins. And he says, when we're judging someone, the first thing I want to know, are you a loyal citizen? They're not worried about if you went through the traffic light or not. Rosh Hashanah is just about that. I'm in the king's palace. Lift myself up to a different world. Malchiyot, zichronot, and shofarot. And when those thoughts are going through our mind, we're going to have the best year possible. They set us up for success. We're checking you out now. Imagine the doctor tells you, I'm giving you a physical now, and based on how you're doing the physical, we'll decide if you're going to, get this super duper whatever. You get a $10 million reward if you do great on your physical. So they tell you before, and listen, let me tell you before, in a month before, you can go through this physical. If you do well, your grandfather, who's very wealthy, says if he passes his physical, his blood pressure's right, his heart, he's going to get $10 million. So now, no one tells you about that. Someone whispers and says, you know what, in 30 days, let me tell you what to do. Drink organic tea for the next month. Only eat flaxseed. And you're going to go in there and you're going to score. Yeah. Exactly. The Goyim have no idea. Ashrei am yodei tiruah. We know what's going on. He told us what's going on. He gives us the heads up in 30 days from now. This is what's going to happen. And I want you to be in the best possible shape. I want you to do good. I want you to do good on the test. It's like the proctor giving you the answers before the regents.
And now this book is even giving you the cliff notes to those answers. That's amazing. So during the month of El, how do you suggest we go about doing this? I know that the book delineates, each day working on something. Should we take a third of the month and focus on Machiyot, a third on Zichronot, a third on Shofarot? What do you think?
It actually does work out that way because the 30 Pesukim, there's 30 days in Elul, and we give every single day one pasuk. So you're basically doing that. You're going through day by day, appreciating each pasuk, and hopefully when you get to Rosh Hashanah, if you take good notes, and we hopefully going to have like a companion of sorts.
Oh, nice.
That you can look at and remember, oh, that's what I'm supposed to be thinking when I say Hashem Yimloch Olam Va'ed. And this hit me. We say the first pasuk is Hashem Yimloch Olam Va'ed. By the way, and I don't know everyone's, at the end of Aleinu Shabbat, are those words Hashem Yimloch Olam Va'ed there?
Yes.
Right. So most people don't realize. You know what the words Hashem Yimloch Olam Va'ed are in every Aleinu Shabbat? Because Aleinu Shabbat is the introduction to Malchiyot. And the first pasuk of Malchiyot is Hashem Yimloch Olam Va'ed. So we have that leftovers every single day. We want to remember our Musaf. People think, it's a joke, they say, Aleinu Shabbat complain to HaKadosh Baruch Hu, everyone says me on the run. So I'll give you one day here that everyone's going to say you're right in the middle of Musaf Rosh Hashanah, but it's the opposite. It started in Musaf Rosh Hashanah, and to keep that feeling alive, they put it at the end of every single prayer 3 times a day. And what do we say? Hashem Yimloch Olam Va'ed. Okay, Hashem Yimloch Olam Va'ed. Very nice. Now imagine you did the following preparation for a second. I said, when did you say Hashem Yimloch Olam Va'ed? When the sea split. Close your eyes for a moment and imagine the Egyptians are behind me. The sea's in front of me. I don't know what to do. And suddenly the sea splits and I go through and the enemy comes behind me and they're all drowned. And I realize Hashem is king. He could do anything. Kashez zivugan, shiduchim are difficult like kriyat yamsuf. Parnasa. And I say Hashem Yimloch Olam Va'ed. I say, he can do it. Look what just happened. And now imagine you're thinking that and Hashem's looking at you on Rosh Hashanah. I say, wow, look at my little boy. He knows what I can do that. I'm going to do it for him. But the more passionate we are, and it's all about that. It's all in the pit. Hashem says, on Pesach, what do you have to do? Bring a korban from the grain because I'm judging the grain. On Shavuot, bring fruit because I'm judging the fruit. On Sukkot, pour the water because I'm judging on the rain. And what should you do on Rosh Hashanah? Say Pesukim of Malchiyot, Zichronot, and Shofarot. That's the Avodat Hayom, and that's what got me so passionate, was people aren't realizing that's the korban of the day. And you can't just roll into it and say, oh, there's a lot to do over here. There's a lot of understanding.
I think you're shedding some light now on probably the thing that bothers us most about Rosh Hashanah is like, why is there not one tefillah besides maybe Zachrenu L'chaim, okay, Avinu Malkeinu, where we ask Hashem for what we need? Like, why isn't there some tefillah where, like Rifa'enu, I always think, hey Hashem, what would I do for a Rifa'enu, for a Barich Aleinu, for a Parnasa, a Shemaka Aleinu? It's not there. It's absent. It's glaring.
Right. That is the most prominent question that exists. And I once heard a beautiful mashal to a king who banished his son from the land. And he goes off into some faraway place and he starts feeling bad for him. So he sends messengers to check on him. And the messengers come and say, I'm coming from your father, the king. Is there anything that you could use? And he says, I work in the barn, and it's very dirty. Can you ask my father for high boots? So then I'm working in the barn, I'll be able to, have a more comfortable job when I'm, shoveling whatever I'm shoveling in the barn. And they come back to the king, and they tell the king, and the king bursts out crying. And they say, what's wrong? He's alive, he's well. He says, I thought he would say, I want to come back home to my father. He wants boots to stay in the barn. So every little thing, if we realize, like Shlomo Melech, give me the king's daughter and I get everything with it, the answer to all our problems is, let's just come home.
Maybe this is a halachic question. At the end of Shemona Esrei by Yula Ratzon, we're allowed to insert our own personal requests. Are you allowed to do that on Rosh Hashanah, or you got to just let it all out?
You're definitely allowed to. It's not about allowed or not. If you're sure allowed to.
Should you?
Should you? That's a different question. So I always tell my kahal, again, I don't know everyone's nuschaot, but tashlich, the Chida wrote a beautiful, beautiful tefillah.
Yeah,
Almost
it's gorgeous.
Everything's in there.
It's in the ArtScroll machzor.
I wonder what Ashkenazim did before the Chida wrote that.
Because it's like so short, right?
And I don't know. But that, I always say, do it where they set it up. You're worried about yourself? Let's have a balance. In the Musaf, which Anshe Knesset Gedolah wrote, without you in it, leave yourself out. Avinu Malkeinu, Tashlich.
Those are the places.
Put it in there. But when you keep Musaf clean, do what it says. Read what it says, focus on what it says, and lift yourself up a little higher.
And it's the longest Shemona Esrei of the entire year.
Yes.
So you really got to go in there with a mindset, I'm here, let me take my time, let me get an ArtScroll, or if I don't have one yet, or the companion, and let me do this in the I only have 2 shots at this. That's it, a whole year. Where does the actual sound of the shofar fit into this whole equation? Because I know that in Nusach Ashkenaz, we don't blow shofar till the Chazara, till Chazar Sashatz. But I know that in Nusach Sfard, for example, and how about in the Sephardi world?
We do it in the middle.
You do it during the silent
Right,
Shemona
right.
Esrei. Okay, so how does that, let's say you said your Malchuyot, you're feeling the fact that Hashem created the world, something from nothing, He could do anything, and now what does the shofar do when you hear that?
So the shofar is really about us. Rav Wolbe, which is also in this sefer we speak about, he says shofar represents a concept called bepoal. Things are bekoach, means potential, and bepol means it's kinetic, it's out in the full force. You blow a shofar, it's like you're putting your whole self into it. You're giving it all you have. And he says that that's what we're asking a person on Rosh Hashanah. It says, wake up, you sleepy people, right? When are you sleeping? You're lethargic. Get a little enthusiastic. So we want to take a person from all his potential energy that he's given, all his talents, and just bring it out a little bit more. Energize yourself. Bring yourself out. God gave you so many kochot. He compares it to the day of creation, where on the day of creation, it says Hashem created the world, something from nothing. But the Ramban explains, ha'aretz hayta tohu. He says tohu is this force, he calls it the koach hiyuli. Yeah. The force, the Hyle force, Hyle. It's a Greek word, which means just the basic matter. God started the world with basic matter, and from that, He brought out the flowers and the frogs, and everything came out of that basic matter. And he says it happens similarly on Rosh Hashanah. God is planting that energy for the whole year. Your whole year is here now. And if you plant good seeds, you're going to have great trees. And we're asking you now, I'm giving you all these talents, I'm giving you all this, and you're planting now. Bring it out. I'm giving you money, I'm giving you children, I'm giving you abilities, I'm giving you intelligence. Commit yourself to, I'm going to use everything that I have for Him, I'm going to bring it all out.
So it's like that's the sound of the shofar coming, that little bit of breath coming out, with a much larger force. It's interesting that you say that because, I have this chus of being the Baal Tokea and Shul.
Oh, wow.
And if Hashem blesses me, that I get into my groove, so they're just coming and I don't have to be super focused on the true and the shvarim, and I have a wonderful Rav that's next to me, he's timing me and everything. At some point, I always wonder, okay, what should I think now? So I thought about the mitzvah of Tekiyah Shofar. Of course, that's, the paramount, most important. But what should I be thinking about now? And I've asked this question to a lot of different people. What should I be thinking as the Baal Tokea? Like the Shliach. They're being Shomea Kol Shofar, and hopefully I'm too, but I'm the one that's Mashmiya, the Tokea. What should I be thinking? But this is a nice thing to think about. Hashem, look at this room. There's such a talent pool, and there's so many people there with so many dreams and hopes and aspirations. Help them bring it Mikoach el hapol, from the potential into the world. That next year on Rosh Hashanah, when we're contemplating, like, wow, look, it was a seed, and look at the beautiful tree. I love that. That's beautiful. Maybe this year at some point, Hashem will bless me that it'll come into my mind.
And he says, when he's talking about, it says how careful you're supposed to be with eating sweet foods, because he says we want to plant, everything should be planted sweet. Mm-hmm. He says, if I want to plant sweet foods, surely I want to plant sweet people.
Right.
He says, be sweet on Rosh Hashanah. It's it's supposed to be just plant good.
And that's a challenge, because for certain people, they're very intense and serious on Rosh Hashanah, and they forget about the sweetness. So maybe they have to come home and get a little reminder. Whoa, relax. The edges are a little rough. Smooth them out. Rabbi Sutton, Baruch Hashem, you went to Ber Yaakov. You had Rav Volban. I'm sure. Can you think of a particular Rosh Hashanah in your life where it was just like, I was in such a good place and such a good space, and I just felt like I got it? Or maybe it's going to be this year after writing the sefer.
So I'll actually tell you again. I'm going back to Rav Volba. Rav Volba said his best Rosh Hashanah in his life.
Okay,
that's a good one, right?
Sure.
So Rav Volba was born in Germany, Berlin, went to the Mir Yeshiva in Europe, and when the sounds of war, drum beats of war were beginning, they asked all German nationals to leave Poland because they were afraid there were spies. He had to leave. Of course, he was, being pulled away from his yeshiva. It happened to survive. The Mir Yeshiva, separate story in its own. And he went to Sweden. And he was in Sweden. He was helpful. Ram Kamenovich, America was sending money to Shanghai through Sweden. He was very active during the war years. And after the war was over, Sweden's hospitals, because there was a shortage of hospitals in Europe, took in many of the displaced people from the concentration camps.
My grandmother amongst them.
To Sweden?
Yeah.
So he went one Rosh Hashanah, he had a shofar, daven Nates b'yachid, and spent the entire day, from Nates till night, going from bed to bed, hearing the stories and blowing the shofar. And he says that was the most meaningful Rosh Hashanah in his life.
Wow.
So you talk about being out for yourself and being out for the klal. The greatest Rosh Hashanah is when you forget about yourself. Forget about yourself for a moment and think about the klal, because that's what it's all about. Yisrael Slanta says, you know what the key to success on Rosh Hashanah? Be someone that's Rabbim Tzrichim Lo. The people need you. It's not, people need you. Klal Yisrael needs you.
It's in the book.
Klal Yisrael needs you. So that to me that's the greatest Rosh Hashanah. I would think greatest Hashanah, who knows what.
He didn't move from his seat and was focused on Malchus the whole time.
And another story, I think I bring it down, I don't remember. So I was, like I said, like anybody else, I was a young avrech, younger man, and I was intense. And I lived in Arzei Abira, not far from the Kotel. And I used to have Friday night guests from the wall. Rabbi, what's the tap on your shoulder?
Meir Schuster.
Yeah, so he used to send me. Then we're going back 1985.
Okay.
We used to have guests all the time. We get a call, we want to send you guests for Rosh Hashanah. So, oh my gosh, I'm going to have these hippies in my Rosh Hashanah. I want to be me and my wife and nobody in the room. That's it. I want to eat a fast meal and, So, as a young, maybe immature, I said, I'm going to ask Rabbi Shlomo Zalman Auerbach. He always listens to Gedolim. I like to ask questions. If you go to Gadol, Brach Vatzlach, every time I go to Gadol, I have a question. So I went to Shlomo Zalman Shari Chesed. I said, what should I do? So he says, are they spending all 48 hours with you? He says, no, they're going to come for me. They're going to come for a meal. You're in shul, you're in this. Very nice. And that for me was a real change. I said, really? That's okay?
Hashem, if you take care of Hashem's children, He'll take care of yours.
So it's a lot of it, again, as I'm getting a little old, a lot of it is really about ego and it's being selfish. Like, I want a good year. So I'm intensely interested in me having a good year. That might not be what Rosh Hashanah is all about.
You're saying something very powerful, and it's only starting to hit me over the last few years. I think, I just moved to a new community in the last few years, and I got to know many different people, and as you get to know people, sometimes you learn about their challenges. And I try, during Yamim Noraim, at some point in my davening, not just to think about me and my family, not just about Landau. Think about my friend who's struggling with this, or another guy who I know is struggling with that. A, it gives the power of the tzibor, but B, I think that Rosh Hashanah is not just for us. Rosh Hashanah is for all of Klal Yisrael. I think, maybe I'm wrong, but that's what I think. It's fascinating you're saying this, because I one time asked this question to Rabbi Matisyahu Salman. I was a rabbi in a Kiruv community for many years, and We used to do our Rosh Hashanah Yom Kippur davening in a public school gym. So you had the basketball hoops on one side, on the other side, and everyone was like, Rabbi, I hope the services are a slam dunk, you know? And at some point, like, it started probably a few years. Initially, I was just so busy. I was about I was about tefillah. I was giving commentary. Like, it was so much going on. And at some point, when I kind of found my groove, it started bothering me. I remembered I longed for those days when Rabbi Matisyo was the chazan in the largest minyan in BMG. And when you said Ameni Heshmei Rabba and Hashem Elokim, the rafters shook, and you felt like you were in Shemei Shamayim. And here I'm in a public school auditorium, and so many people there, they don't even know which way to hold the machzor. And like, I one time said to him, Rebbe, I need chizuk. Like, you're going to be the Baal Tefillah in BMG, and I'm going to the gym. And Ratzio said something fascinating. He said that one time in Gateshead, there was an outbreak of, I think he said it was the Asian flu or something. And in Rosh Hashanah, 90% of the Gateshead community was in their beds. And the Baal Tekeah went from house to house, from street to street, the entire Rosh Hashanah, and blew shofar. By the time Yom Kippur came around, it had blown away and blown over, and most people were able to be in shul. But Shabbos Shuvah, he said, the Gateshead Rav got up and he says, we think the Rosh Hashanah Yom Kippur is our shul experience, a Bet Knesset experience, with our talis. I don't know if you guys wear kittles, whatever it is, but that's our Rosh Hashanah. It's not true. Rosh Hashanah is in your bed. In Rabbi Matzio's words, in your pajamas. If you're still able to feel malchus, that's real. He says to me, I have 1,000, 1,200 people in my minyan. I don't even know if that's real. But if you could feel malchut shamayim, you could feel din in that public school auditorium, I don't know if your davening is better perhaps than mine.
That's beautiful. The truth is, Rabbi Matisyo, his sefer Matnat Chaim on Yom is unbelievable. And he has something there that I bring down, I just adapt it a little bit, which is very powerful. Basically, he says what we're really using, the power of our tefillot, is the power of Ein Od Milvado. Hashem is the king, there's nothing else but him. And we all know, Reb Chaim Volozhin in Shar Bet, the skula nifla'a, the wondrous skula, that if I annul any other force in the world but HaKadosh Baruch Hu, all negative forces are annulled. Unbelievable. Bumper stickers, Ein Od Milvado, right, all over the place.
The Brisker Rav story of being
saved
saved on the train.
He's saved on the train. He's on the train. The Nazis are going. They're thinking nothing else but Hashem. Suddenly one kid's not thinking for a second. The Nazi going toward him. And then anyway, the Nazi disappears. Ein Od Milvado, unbelievable. He says, imagine you were told, and I'll switch it a little bit, that you're going to be in near Oz. You're going to be in one of those kibbutzim that Lo Aleinu, there was horrible tragedies.
October 7th.
Of October 7th. And someone tells that person a month before, listen, the Arabs are coming in, and the only way for you to survive is Ein Od Milvado. What? Yeah, there's 3 words. You never heard of it. Ein Od Milvado. You tell him, you sit in there, he reads through the Nefesh HaChaim, and he's working on Ein Od Milvado for the next month, because he knows in a month from now, that's going to be his lifesaver. Says Mathiel Salman, that happens every year, Rosh Hashanah. The whole year, all those negative forces, all those terrorists, they're there in the room on Rosh Hashanah. They're there. And how do you get through it? Again, don't get scared, because getting scared, by the way, and being intense, you can't focus when you're anxious. You can't focus on anything. That's what it says when you go to war, what do? Forget about yourself. It's unbelievable. The Rambam says when you go to war, what do? Forget about yourself. Forget about your family. Forget anything. Focus on Sur Olamim. That's what we're doing. That's the real. So it's counter. If you start saying, oh my gosh, imagine the pilot goes flying over, oh my gosh, my family, what's good? You're going to be shot down. You got to forget about everything and focus.
The mission.
And and again, you need preparation. You can't just, that's what Elul is about. That's what hopefully the Sefer will do to lift up the Rosh Hashanah experience.
Amazing.
And Yom Kippur.
I'm sold. Bli Neder, I'm getting the Sefer when it comes out. I'm going to try to do it. And I'll let you know. Mr. Shem, have a great year. It'll be your credit. Thank you so much. Keep inspiring. Keep writing. And Bezrat Hashem, each and every one of us should have a ksiva chasim tov and a happy and healthy new year.
Amen. As we say, Tizkul Shanim Rabot.
I'll take that too. Thanks a lot.